you are working against yourself. Every time you push through the exhaustion, every time you grind past the point of burnout, every time you tell yourself to just work harder, you are actively destroying the one hormone responsible for your energy, your drive, your muscle, and your mental clarity. And the worst part is, nobody told you this was happening. By the time we're done today, you'll understand exactly why your body is working against you right now, and the specific, research-backed steps to reverse it. Stay with me through this one. What I show you at the 9-minute mark is the part most men never get to, and it's the most important part of this entire video. Let me introduce you to two hormones. You know one of them well, testosterone. The hormone most men think about when they think about strength, energy, confidence, and drive. But there's a second hormone, one that most men completely underestimate: cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. Your body produces it in response to any perceived threat, physical, psychological, or emotional. And here is the relationship between these two hormones that changes everything. They are in direct biological opposition. When cortisol goes up, testosterone goes down. Not sometimes, not occasionally, every single time. And the reason why comes down to something happening inside your body that most people have never heard of. It's called the pregnenolone steal. Your body uses a raw material called pregnenolone to manufacture hormones. Think of it as the factory, and your hormones are the products that factory produces. Under normal conditions, your body produces both cortisol and testosterone from this shared raw material. But here's the rule your body lives by without exception. Survival always beats performance. Cortisol is your survival hormone. When your body senses stress, it redirects pregnenolone away from testosterone and toward cortisol production. Your body is making a choice. Survive first, perform later. The problem is, in 2025, your body never gets the signal that the danger has passed, so it keeps stealing, day after day, week after week, and testosterone keeps dropping. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that men with chronically elevated cortisol had testosterone levels on average 25% lower. 25%. That is not a minor difference. But the pregnenolone steal is only half the problem. Because cortisol has a second mechanism for suppressing testosterone, and this one is even more insidious. It activates an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase converts testosterone directly into estrogen. So while cortisol is cutting your supply through the steal, it is simultaneously converting whatever remains into estrogen. You're being hit from both sides. And this is why men under chronic stress don't just feel tired. They start storing fat, particularly around the chest and abdomen. They feel emotionally flat. They lose their competitive edge. They stop caring about things that used to fire them up. These are not personality changes. This is your endocrine system under sustained attack. Here's what makes this a modern epidemic. Cortisol was never designed to be chronically elevated. For most of human history, stress was short, acute, a real physical threat. But modern life broke that cycle entirely. Now we live in a state researchers call chronic, low-grade stress activation. Your cortisol never fully comes down. Work stress bleeds into the evening. Financial pressure runs as background noise 24 hours a day. Notifications fire dozens of times per hour. Sleep gets cut short by alarms. Caffeine masks the fatigue. Your body doesn't know the difference between a deadline and a lion. It responds the same way every time. Cortisol up, testosterone down. A study from Carnegie Mellon found that chronic psychological stress measurably impairs hormonal regulation within just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Most men have been living like this for years. Let me describe someone to you. He wakes up exhausted, even after 8 hours of sleep. He gets through the morning on caffeine. He hits a wall at 2 or 3 in the afternoon where he can barely think straight. He's short-tempered at home. He used to love training. Now it feels like a chore. Gaining weight around the middle despite no change in diet. He can't switch his brain off at night. Most men who experience this pattern attribute it to age, to being busy, to just having a lot on their plate right now. But what they're describing is the hormonal fingerprint of chronically elevated cortisol. And because it happens gradually, not overnight, most men never connect the symptoms to the cause. It's not who you are, it's what's happening to your hormones. Now here is where most men make it significantly worse, without realizing it. When they feel the fatigue and flat mood, their instinct is to push harder. More coffee, earlier alarms, more training, longer hours. Every single one of those responses raises cortisol further. And then they wonder why nothing is working. Let's go through the 4 daily habits that are silently spiking your cortisol right now. Number 1. Caffeine afternoon. It has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. A 2 p.m. coffee still has half its load at 9 p.m., keeping cortisol elevated and fragmenting deep sleep. It is a self-reinforcing loop. Number 2, training without recovery. Intense training spikes cortisol. If you train hard daily without sufficient sleep, cortisol never fully drops. You lose muscle despite training more. Number 3, checking your phone within the first 30 minutes of waking. You hijack your natural morning cortisol peak and push it into a reactive state that follows you all day. Number 4, skipping breakfast or high sugar. Blood sugar crashes trigger cortisol release. Starting your day with a cortisol spike before 9 a.m. sets a hormonal tone for the entire day. 9 minutes in, I promised you this. Here is how you actually fix it. The goal is not to eliminate cortisol, you need it. The goal is to improve your cortisol recovery, returning to baseline fast. The faster cortisol drops, the more time testosterone has to recover. These are the 5 highest leverage interventions. 1. Morning sunlight. Within 30 minutes of waking, 10 minutes of natural light exposure anchors your circadian clock and directly improves nighttime sleep quality. Primary T production happens during sleep. 2. Cut caffeine before noon only. This one change measurably deepens sleep within 3 to 5 days. Studies show 1 week of improved sleep can raise testosterone levels by up to 15%. 3. Ashwagandha, 300 to 600 milligrams daily. This is a rigorously studied natural modulator. Research found it reduced cortisol by 27.9% over 60 days, with a significant increase in testosterone. Peer-reviewed research. 4. Strategic full rest days. You need complete rest, not active recovery. Full rest. Building in 2 full rest days per week is not a sign of weakness. It is the mechanism by which testosterone recovers. 5. The 10-minute decompression window. No phone, no podcast, just silence or slow breathing before home. Research found this measurably reduces cortisol within minutes. Build this non-negotiable habit. Everything we covered today, the pregnenolone steal, the aromatase conversion, none of it is a reflection of your character. Modern life is structurally designed to keep your cortisol elevated, but understanding the mechanism gives you power over it. The men with the highest testosterone are not the ones who feel no stress. They are the ones who recover from it faster. That's the game. And now you know how to play it. If this gave you clarity on something you've been feeling, that's what this channel is for. Every week we go this deep on one topic, always science-backed. Subscribe if that's useful. Drop questions in the comments. See you in the next one. If this gave you clarity on something you've been feeling, that's what this channel is for. Every week we go this deep on one topic, always science-backed. Subscribe if that's useful. Drop questions in the comments. See you in the next one.